On this video, I'm going to be sharing with you a really powerful tool to not only help you in the art of surrender and letting go, but also in managing your stress, managing your need for control, and really kind of surrendering to a higher power, to someone or something to come in and help support you with whatever it is you're working through. Hey guys, welcome back to another video. My name is Kara Michelle and I'm here to help you live your truth. And on today's video, I'm going to be talking a little bit about the Change Me Prayers by Tosha Silver. I'm not going to do like a full-on book review in this video. I will at some point, but I really just wanted to pop in quick and share why this is so powerful and some of the shifts I've seen in my own life since applying these tools, because maybe you're like me. You can let me know in the comments below if you are someone who struggles with control sometimes. I will be the first to admit that that's something I'm still working on. Letting go, right? Because it's really easy. We have these desires or these goals or these dreams for ourselves. And sometimes when things aren't working out the way we want them to, or the way we think they're supposed to, or the way they should, right? Should is where we get stuck a lot of times. But when it's not really working out, sometimes it can be really difficult to take that step back and just let go, surrender, let go of that control. And so this is something I've been working on a lot in my life, especially the last few months, I would say. So I came across this book maybe 6 months ago. Don't quote me on that, but I was listening to it, actually the audiobook, while I was in Bali back in February. And you might be like, why are you working on surrendering when you're in Bali? But there was so much stuff going on in my business, my coaching business, so I was doing so much work, getting to the beach when I could, but quite honestly, like very tied to my computer, still building a lot of stuff and getting some different things in place, onboarding some team members, and it was just a bit of a hectic time. On top of that, this is when the coronavirus was just kind of starting, right? So there's all this stress. I mean, I didn't pay a ton of attention to it, but I was still a little bit aware of what is this going to mean in terms of travel and in terms of healthcare and my own health insurance and stuff, travel insurance. On top of that, my dad was going through some health issues, and I intuitively felt like they were deeper than what he was understanding and what his doctors had told him, and that turned out to be right. So there were a lot of different things that were kind of pulling me away from maybe what I had in mind. So I had spent months in Australia, and I was planning to stay in Australia and Bali back and forth over the rest of the winter before coming back to Canada, because I do not like the cold. So I still find it too cold. But anyway, what happened while I was listening to this book, and let me actually, sorry for the sidetracking, let me go back to it was just 3:33 when I looked at that before I turned around. So focus. Okay. In the Change Me Prayers, what she's doing is allowing you to basically open up for assistance, for guidance, for support, from whatever higher power you believe in. And she sometimes says God, sometimes she says the universe, sometimes she's using like dearly beloved or divine beloved, or I forget what else she says. But obviously you can use whatever feels best for you and whatever you personally believe in. I use all of them interchangeably depending on my mood, but for me it's just like I really truly believe that there is something bigger than myself out there. I know from my own experiences and really deep spiritual connections, meditations, out-of-body experiences, dream travel, all of these different things, connection with my brother and his spirit, like all of these things have proven to me over the last 9 years that there is so much more than just the physical existence. So I do believe in a higher power. Now, where this gets really helpful is obviously when I'm stuck in like ego mode and in control and force, and it has to be my way. well, it's not a comfortable place to be in, and a lot of times we don't see things as clearly from our limited perception because we're just focused on what we believe should happen and how we believe it should play out, right? And that need for control. So these prayers are really designed to help you surrender, and basically she explains like countless ways you can use them no matter what circumstance is going on, and it is kind of just like, you know, dear beloved or divine beloved, change me into someone who can step back, who can release the need for control and allow you to move in and guide me to whatever I need to come across, right? Or change me into someone who doesn't resent other people and instead focuses on love. Or change me into someone who can relax and take deep breaths and settle in when I'm feeling stressed. You know, you can literally use this for any kind of opportunity, any kind of moment in your life where you are feeling stressed out or feeling pulled into the negative and into that kind of vortex. So it's very interchangeable. So I want you to think right now about maybe the biggest struggle that's going on and the biggest thing in your life that isn't working the way you think it should work, and maybe come up with a little prayer for yourself. So like if you were to lean back and ask for support from the universe and say, you know, change me into someone who, what would that look like for you? So for my instance, when I was in Bali, I didn't mention this yet, but I also lost my credit card. So classic. I lost my credit card on day one because I went to the ATM, I put it in, and the ATMs in Bali give you your money first and then your card. So I took the money and put it in my wallet, and I apparently, like, I don't remember, but I obviously left my card in the machine and never took it. And I didn't notice it until 2 weeks later when my cash was running out, and I was like, oh, I don't know where my credit card is. And my other credit cards, I had forgotten the PIN because they were American cards, and I never had to use the PIN when I was in America last year. So long story short, technical difficulties were going on, and I basically was in this position where I was like, okay, I have a limited amount of cash right now. And I was planning to stay in Bali for probably 2 more weeks for the full month, and then possibly extending for a second month. And all of a sudden I didn't have any cards that were working. I called the banks. They weren't able to help me or give me the PIN over the phone for security purposes. If they were to mail me a card, it probably would have taken at least a month or 6 weeks. So I was like, that's not going to help me at all. And so all of these things were piling up, and like I just felt like, okay, I do trust the signs and I trust what's showing up for me, and I think this is not working, right? So I had this moment where I was going to go to the bank and ask them if they had the card, if it was in the machine, because I thought, okay, well, if the machine just ate up my card, they probably have it, so that's fine. So as I was walking there, I was very open, and I was actually listening to this book, I believe, and just listening to these prayers, you know, like, change me into someone who lets go of the outcome, who knows that whatever is meant to be will be, who trusts that she is divinely supported. You know, instead of me being stressed about all these things, like, I had zero stress. I was just like, whatever, you know, whatever happens, happens, and I'll figure out what I need to do. And so I'm saying these prayers. I was so relaxed, and I honestly went to the bank that day just knowing that, like, okay, either the bank is gonna say, hey, yeah, we actually can get into that machine and get you your card back, or they're gonna say, no, we can't, and then I'll go from there, right? But there was no need to control. And again, I am sometimes a control freak. So it was really helping me to lean back and ask for that support and that guidance around what the next best step was. And where I think this can help you is wherever area you're maybe struggling with right now, that you did a little quick brainstorm a few minutes back, is how could you ask for support and literally surrender your situation to a higher power? Because our ego minds are going to be very limited in what they perceive and what they think is possible. We think of maybe like 5 or 10 different scenarios of how all these things could play out and all the potential, comments or conversations or outcomes or opportunities, right? Like, we think we know everything, but the universe has a million different ways to solve this problem for you, or to support you in moving forward, or to help you come up with exactly what you need to come up with. If you are being very closed-minded and stuck in the ego and stuck in your force and your control, you're not going to see those opportunities. For example, had I been super focused on the control and like, I have to get this card, and like desperate energy, really negative, fearful, anxious, overwhelmed, afraid of like, what's it gonna mean if I don't get it? And like, well, like now I'm gonna have to go home. And like, I could have easily responded in all of those ways, right? But it wouldn't have helped me in the moment, and it wouldn't have changed the outcome in any way. So by doing this surrendering and these change me prayers, I really was just like, hey, I'm yours, like whatever is meant for me, I trust that you will help me. And if I'm meant to have this card and stay in Bali for a few more weeks or another month, then it's going to work out today and they're going to be able to give me my card. If I'm not meant to stay here, which at that time, like I said, there were multiple things kind of piling up and pulling me away from Bali, and my instinct was telling me, I'm not supposed to stay here right now. This is why all these things are falling into place, are falling out of place. They're not working. So my instinct was like, I'm not meant to stay here. And the card is just like the final thing where the universe is like, Kara, figure it out, like we're giving you all these signs and all these reasons not to be here right now. So I just was like, hey, I'm yours. Show me what you need me to do, guide me to the right answer, and I'll go with it, right? And I got to the bank and they were like, our machines eat the cards after 3 days. Like, how long ago did you lose it? And I was like, wow, like 2 weeks ago. And they were like, why didn't you come forward sooner, right? Blah, blah, blah. Doesn't matter. Procrastination and zoning out at its finest, that I didn't notice it sooner. But do you get my point? So it's really, really about surrendering, letting go of that need to control, being open for whatever higher power you believe in to swoop in and help put these pieces of the puzzle together in what is actually best for you. So my ego, had I been in control mode, would have told me what's best for me is like to stay in Bali and like to make this work and push through, even though there were so many things going on that weren't really making it as enjoyable as I would have hoped. But I wasn't listening to the ego. I was trusting that like whatever was meant to be would be. And turns out one of the biggest reasons why, aside from the card, I already was like, you know what? With the virus, with the travel, I don't want to be stuck here if all of a sudden flights get crazy expensive, or what if there's a breakout, or all of those potential things that could happen. And I really wanted to get home to see my dad and make sure he was actually okay, spend time with him. So I decided, I got home that day, I booked a flight home, and for like two days later, like literally basically just started packing up and got ready to go. And when I got home, it was like a day after I got back in Canada, my dad had a follow-up with all of his doctors and found out that he needed emergency heart surgery. So had I not listened to the signs, and had I focused on the ego or focused on control and tried to force everything to work the way maybe my mind wanted it to, a lot of different things would have, like shit would have probably hit the fan. So when you surrender, when you practice this prayer in your own life and you offer up the need to control for a higher power, things may not work out the way your mind tells you it wants things to work out, but I promise you it will work out the way you need it, right? You can't always get what you want, but you get what you need. Whatever you need in that time is going to come your way. It's destined for you, it's meant to be, but you must surrender in order to be ready to receive it. And in the surrendering, you also decrease a lot of that stress and a lot of that tension and negativity that could otherwise come forward from it. So please, if you found this helpful, give this video a thumbs up. You can also comment down below. I would love to know your personal change me prayer that you're maybe going to use right now. You know, change me into someone who ... can let go of the control in their life, or change me into someone who can see the good in everyone and every situation, or change me into someone who lives from love instead of fear. Change me into someone who, whatever, right? Insert your personal thing down below. I'd love to hear from you guys. Please thumbs up, please hit the subscribe, please turn on notifications so you get these daily videos, and I will see you on the next video. And let us all be changed into beautiful beings of light, although we don't need to be changed into that because we already are, but let us be open to show up and present ourselves that way every single day. Much love, guys.